Welcome to the 5-Minute Biographies podcast, where every week we tell you interesting things about interesting people in about 5 minutes. And now here is your host, Wayne Armstrong.
Hi, I'm Wayne Armstrong. Welcome to the 5-Minute Biographies podcast, Season 2, Episode 6, David Niven. James David Graham Niven was born on the 1st of March 1910 in Belgrave Mansions, London, and was given the second name David because he was born on St David's Day. His father, William Niven, was Scottish and served in the Berkshire Yeomanry during the First World War and was killed on the 21st of August 1915 during the Gallipoli campaign. David's mother, Henrietta Julia de Gachet, was of French and British ancestry, but was born in Wales. After his father's death, she married again. Her new husband was Sir Thomas Comyn Platt. There is some suggestion that Henrietta had been having an affair for some time with Comyn Platt, and that he was actually David's biological father, and photographs of the two show some resemblance. Niven had 3 siblings, all of whom were older than he. Margaret Joyce was born in Geneva in 1900. Henry de Gachet, known as Max, was born in Buckland, Berkshire, England in 1902, and Griselle Rosemary Graham was born in Belgravia, Middlesex, England in 1906. As a child, David was known to be a bit of a prankster, which led to him constantly getting into trouble at school, culminating with his expulsion from Heatherdown Preparatory School when he was 10 years old. It was expected that he would go on to Eton, but his expulsion put an end to any thoughts of him doing so. He attempted to join the Navy, but his mathematics wasn't good enough, and so he went to Stowe for a while before attending the Royal Military College at Sandhurst, from where he graduated as an Army Second Lieutenant in 1930. He served with the Highland Light Infantry and was deployed to Malta for 2 years before spending some time in Dover. He didn't enjoy his time in the army, and after a bit of light insubordination during a boring lecture about machine guns, he found himself under arrest. The guard that was supposed to be watching him ended up finishing a bottle of whiskey with him instead, and allowed him to escape. Niven headed for America, initially to New York, and resigned his commission by telegraph on the 6th of September 1933. He found himself in Hollywood the following year. After a few uncredited parts, he was cast, again uncredited, in Mutiny on the Bounty, which starred Charles Lawton as Captain Bligh. He did enough, though, to get noticed by Samuel Goldwyn, who got him to sign a contract resulting in Niven appearing in nearly 20 movies over the next 4 years, and playing opposite some Hollywood greats such as Errol Flynn and Laurence Olivier. In 1939 he co-starred with Ginger Rogers in a comedy for RKO Pictures called Bachelor Mother. World War II would put a stop to his Hollywood career for a while, as when Britain declared war on Germany, David Niven went home and re-enlisted in the British Army. After initially being sent to a training battalion in the Rifle Brigade as a lieutenant, he transferred to the Commandos, and to what he hoped would be something a little more exciting. He worked in an army film unit and acted in 2 films, which it was hoped would drum up some support for the British war effort, the first of the few in 1942 and The Way Ahead in 1944. In June the same year he took part in the Allied invasion of Normandy, serving in the Phantom Signals unit, which kept commanders informed of enemy positions and changing battle lines. In 1940, while he was on leave from the army, David Niven met Primula Susan Rollo, known as Primmy. She was the daughter of a lawyer, and after a short romance they were married on the 16th of September the same year. 2 years later, the couple had a son called David Jr., and a second son arrived, called James Graham, on the 6th of November 1945. When the war ended, David Niven left the army as a lieutenant colonel and resumed his movie career in Hollywood, but 6 weeks after he and his family arrived in the US, tragedy struck when on the 21st of May 1946, Primmy had an accidental fall down a stone staircase. She fractured her skull and was killed, She was 28 years old. Niven threw himself into his career, but he was now only interested in starring roles, the first of which were in A Matter of Life and Death, The Bishop's Wife, and Enchantment, which starred Cary Grant. In 1948, he met Hjördis Paulina Tersmeden, a Swedish fashion model, and the couple were married. For a while they lived in New York and were neighbours of Audrey Hepburn. A falling out with Samuel Goldwyn led to Niven effectively being barred from Hollywood during the 1950s, and so most movies he made during this period were low-budget British ones. He did win a Golden Globe though in 1953 for The Moon is Blue, and he found himself with a hit on his hands when in 1956 he played the part of Phileas Fogg in Around the World in 80 Days. In 1958 he won an Oscar for Best Actor for his role in Separate Tables, which would turn out to be his only nomination for an Academy Award. In 1960 David Niven and Hjördis moved to Château d'Eau in Switzerland, near Gstaad, where Niven became a tax exile, the main reason it is believed why David Niven never received a British honour. With an Academy Award under his belt, David Niven's star continued to rise, starring in such well-known movies as The Guns of Navarone in 1961, The Pink Panther in 1963, Murder by Death in 1976, and Death on the Nile in 1978. During this period he even starred as James Bond, when in 1967 he played a spoof version of everyone's favourite spy in Casino Royale. In all, he made another 30 movies, culminating in a cameo appearance in 2 sequels of The Pink Panther, Trail of the Pink Panther in 1982 and Curse of the Pink Panther in 1983. By this time, though, Niven's health had started to seriously decline. He had been showing symptoms of motor neurone disease since 1980, suffering from fatigue and muscle weakness. He was hospitalised for nearly 2 weeks in February 1983 with digestive problems, but when he left hospital, his condition continued to get worse. Refusing more time in hospital, he died on the 29th of July 1983 at the age of 73. He's buried in the cemetery at Château d'Eau. I hope you enjoyed that episode of 5-Minute Biographies. You can also read these biographies for yourself on my website at www.5minutebiographies.com, where you'll find quite a few more biographies for your reading pleasure that have not yet been turned into podcasts. On the website there are also places for you to leave a suggestion for a future biography, or for you to get even more involved by writing a script for a future show. One of the best ways you could help me out, though, is to leave a review on iTunes, as it's an important way for the show to be able to grow, and whilst you're there, make sure you subscribe, as that way you won't miss any future shows. You can also find us on Facebook at 5minutebiographies.com/Facebook, Twitter at 5minutebiographies.com/Twitter, and Pinterest at 5minutebiographies.com/Pinterest. I'd also like to take a moment to let you know about 5-Minute Biographies' first ebook, which has just been completed. It's called The First 10 Presidents, and as the title suggests, it is a collection of biographies about the first 10 presidents of the United States. These biographies have not been published on the website and have not been featured as podcasts, so they're exclusive to the ebook, a copy of which can be yours absolutely free when you become an exclusive member. It's absolutely free to join, and all I need is your email address. For further information, go to 5minutebiographies.com/members. Finally, if you feel you'd like to make a donation towards the cost of producing more episodes, then you can do so through PayPal at 5minutebiographies.com/donate. Any help, no matter how small, would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the 5-Minute Biographies podcast at www.5minutebiographies.com.